Hello guys, what's up everyone? I'm Christopher from China, Germany, and here with the Doogee Kissme DG580. Now Doogee is one of those Chinese manufacturers I'm most excited about, simply because they are the most active low-cost phone maker from the Far East. And well, they usually make a pretty own designs with a good build quality and so on, but this time with this phone they went for the clone path and actually created a 100% OnePlus One knockoff. So let's have a look at this phone and see if it is anything good or if it is just Chinese copycat crap. So let's first have a closer look at the packaging. And this is the box the Doogee Kissme DG580 gets delivered in, and it's looking pretty similar to the Xiaomi Mi Pad packaging. It's pretty large for a phone made from recycled cardboard with the Doogee logo here on the top and a little slogan, "Love me then kiss me," on the side, and on the rear we have some specs of the phone in multiple languages, which just is showing again the ambitions of Doogee to reach countries outside of China, especially Europe. So let's have a quick glimpse inside the box. It's pretty hard to get that thing open if no phone is inside. Wait a moment. Here we go. And now this is what you get with the phone. A little bumper for the rear, which is protecting it against scratches and so on. A protective film. One is applied on the phone already, so this is a replacement protective film. We have one user manual, which is pretty nicely done, I think. And here the battery would be placed normally, but I've put it inside the phone already, and the rest of the accessories is placed inside the sides of this thing as we're used to from Xiaomi phones already. We have an extra box here which contains an headset and a flat micro USB cable in color white, and on the other side of this box we have the wall charger of the phone. So that's about the accessories. I have to say that this is quite a lot of stuff for a phone that only costs about 80 euros or 100 US dollars. So, well, that's pretty nicely done by Doogee. Okay, let's continue with the design of the phone, and as I said, this is a 100% OnePlus One knockoff. Now the design is simply the same with all the small details we know from the OnePlus One, but the size is a little larger and the weight of the phone is also higher with 192 grams. So that being said, let's have a look at all the stuff that's placed around the phone. So here we have the phone call speaker with a metal plate on top. We have some sensors and the front camera, and below the screen we have the usual touch buttons, which are not back illuminated here, but instead made from some silver metal-like color. On the left side we have a volume rocker, then on the lower side we have a voice microphone. On the right side we have the on-off switch, and on the top we have a micro USB port with OTG support, and of course the usual 3.5mm headphone jack. Then on the rear we have the camera, which also looks exactly the same as with the OnePlus One, and we even have a dual LED flash here and a nice Doogee logo, as well as the opening for the media speaker. Now I have actually two phones of this one, the black one and the white one, and as you can see they have different textures to them. Now the black one is imitating the sandstone black version of the OnePlus One, Now, while the OnePlus One really feels like sandstone, this one doesn't. It is pretty rough, but it has a soft touch to it, so it doesn't feel exactly the same, but still it's a pretty high build quality and feels really nice in the hand and prevents it from slipping out of your hands. Now the white one is imitating the silk white cover of the OnePlus One, but this feels totally different and doesn't even come close to the original phone. That being said, let's have a look at the inside of this handset. Let me pull the rear off, and here you can see we have a micro SIM card slot, a micro SD card slot, and below those two slots is a normal sized SIM card slot. So this is a dual SIM phone. And here we have the 2000 milliamps battery. Now for the build quality, I was pretty surprised. Clones aren't usually the most high quality phones, but this one is. And I'm especially excited about it because this phone is priced at $100 and what you get for this money is really insane here, because the build quality is really good. There are no large gaps or clattering stuff when you shake it. It just is really nice made, and well, I really like it. Now the Doogee Kissme DG580 actually is a 5.5-inch phone, which is pretty insane for considering the low price of this phone. And of course the low price has to come from something, and they have to save money with some parts, and the screen is one part of them, because the resolution of this one is pretty low. It's 960 by 540, and this actually isn't that much and results in a really low pixel density at 5.5 inches. Now the pixels are large. Let me come closer to the camera and you will see it. You can see them perfectly well, and well, it's disturbing a little when looking at high resolution pictures or trying to read small fonts. But to be honest with you, the screen is still surprisingly good. If you don't look at pictures, I think just use the operating system and some apps, you don't notice the low resolution. And you actually get used to the low resolution with time, so it's not that bad. And the color reproduction of the screen is also really good, as well as contrast and reaction times. Only the black levels of the screen could have been a little better. If you look at darker pictures, you see a whitish sheen on the black areas of the screen. So that being said, the screen is not that bad as you would expect it to be, but it's of course not at high-end level. Now for the viewing angles, those are pretty good, because this is actually an IPS OGS panel, and as you can see, you can still see everything from the sides, except the colors are fading out a little bit, but that's nothing I'm worrying about. As for the digitizer, I'm pretty satisfied with this one. It's fairly precise and has good reaction times and so on, and I didn't have any issues while using it, like ghost touches or anything. The only thing I dislike is that the protective film on the glass is breaking the finger a little bit, so it's hard to move it across the screen in a smooth motion, but I didn't want to peel it off because I'm worrying a little about having scratches on the screen, because I highly doubt that we have Gorilla Glass here. Now let's have a closer look at the operating system of the Doogee Kissme DG580. Now this one is running Android 4.4.2 KitKat, and it actually features a lot of functions that you usually don't find with such cheap phones. But before I show you them, let me just talk about a few bugs this operating system has. First of all, the stock launcher of it, which I have disabled on this phone, you can see it right here on this one. It is similar to MIUI with no app drawer. All apps are being placed on the home screens. This one has the bug that the lower icon bar will disappear after a while when installing more apps onto the phone. Now I am not exactly sure what's the cause of that, but it's a pretty annoying bug. And well, you can, the only workaround is to install another launcher, so I have chosen to go with the Google Now launcher on my productive phone. And another bug I noticed about the operating system is that you can't move apps to the micro SD card. It does recognize it, it does save pictures on it and so on, but it can't move apps to the micro SD card, which is a little annoying. You have 8 GB of internal memory, 4 of them are usable for media files, and just around 1.18 GB of it are usable for apps. So if you install a lot of games, this will be filled up with apps in no time. So it probably depends on the user itself if this is an issue or not. For me, it is an issue and makes the phone a little less usable for me. But the operating system does support OTA over the updates, and this means that it is getting updated regularly. I've got one update during the review process already, so Doogee is definitely caring about it, and I hope that they will fix these bugs in the near future. But now let's have a look at the special features the operating system has in place for you, and one of those features are wake gestures. Now this is a pretty exciting feature. You actually can turn the phone off and then draw letters on the screen, and it will open up a pre-configured app. You can change the apps that are opening up with a certain gesture, but you can't set new gestures, which is a little bit sad. So for example, if you draw a C on the turned off phone, you will get the camera opened up. Let me just show you this. Here we go, now the camera app opened up. Now this is pretty useful, and I actually used it quite a lot during the review of this phone. Now another feature this phone has in place for you is gesture and motion, and we have a category called telephony motion here. Now here you can set different features, such as turning the phone silent when flipping it with the screen on the table. So if you get a call and you don't want to be annoyed by it, just flip it over and the phone will be silent. Now another feature is that if you get an incoming call, you can just hold it up, put it on your ear, and the phone call will automatically be accepted. So that's a really nice feature, and I really like that. And another feature it does support is that it automatically is turning on the media speaker of the phone if you put it away from your ear during a phone call. So you can continue your talk without having to press any button. Now that's actually pretty nice. And another feature it has is double tap to lock. So you actually can press the home button 2 times and then it will turn off. So that's pretty nice. And other features it has is a real gesture control, meaning you can swipe your hands over the phone and it will slide through the home screens or pictures in the image gallery. Now this one is actually not working quite well. It does only work in one direction, and you also have to come very close to the sensor for it to work. So, well, it's pretty much unusable. I've disabled it. They could have simply left that out and, well, make the phone a little bit cheaper instead. And the last feature I want to show you is privacy protection, which is also a pretty neat feature. So if you have some app that you don't want to have accessed by anyone else, simply lock it with a password here, and if you try to open it, it will prompt you for this password, and anyone who doesn't know this password won't get inside your app. So that's a pretty nice feature, and all this stuff is something you usually don't find with such cheap phones, and I really like that with the Doogee Kissme DG580. Now for the stability and the speed of the ROM, I have to say that Doogee has done a pretty good job here. The operating system is working perfectly smooth. I had no crashes or something, so this is really nice and I really like that about this phone. And now you will see more about the performance and the performance demo. Have fun with that. Now in terms of multimedia, the Doogee Kissme DG580 unfortunately disappointed me a little. Let me first tell you about playing videos. This is working perfectly fine and I didn't encounter any issues here. 1080p videos are played smoothly and well, that's to be expected because the processor simply is powerful enough. And well, we have a MT6582 quad-core processor in here. And well, but it doesn't continue with playing audio with this phone. The internal media speaker is pretty bad. Now actually it's not bad in terms of audio quality. This one would be pretty good, to be honest, but it's not loud enough. If you are in a little noise environment and pull the volume up to 100%, you will still hear pretty much nothing because it simply lacks a decent volume, and that's pretty sad and makes it pretty much impossible to properly listen to music with this phone. Now usually you would simply attach some good earphones to the phone and the fun would be going on, but this isn't the case here, as well as the audio signal that is put out through the headphone jack isn't that nice as well. Now it doesn't share the volume issues with the internal media speaker, but it is simply not balanced enough. It sounds a bit muffled and well, it's just not anything that you would use to listen to your favorite music tracks with. So in terms of audio quality, this phone really sucks and I'm really disappointed by this one. And now I will show you a little demo through the internal media speaker. Now in terms of reception quality, the Doogee Kissme DG580 disappointed me again. Not much, but a little, because 2G and 3G reception isn't quite as strong as I'm used to from other phones. Now surprisingly, here in this room, most phones have a pretty bad reception quality, but this one gets full GSM reception strength for some reason. I don't know why. But in other areas of the house and when moving around outside, I usually have a significantly lower signal than with other phones. Now this is a little bit disappointing. It's not a huge issue because you don't get signal losses or something. Phone calls still work perfectly fine with a great audio quality. But when surfing the internet through the mobile network, you definitely notice that the data rate is a little worse than with other phones, and you definitely notice that. So that's a little bit sad. But the other supported wireless technologies make up for that, because Wi-Fi is simply working perfectly well with this one. Here in the house I can walk through every room and I won't get any signal losses, and it even works outside around the house, which is pretty neat. So the Wi-Fi antenna in there is really good, and the same applies to Bluetooth. It's just working perfectly fine with no issues, distortions or anything. As for GPS, the first fix took a little while for this one, but afterwards it did work perfectly fine. It took like 1 minute for the first fix to happen. And this was actually done outside with very cloudy sky. So depending on how cloudy the sky is, depending on the weather conditions, you get between 2 to 6 meters outside of accuracy. And let me just show you a screenshot. This was from the first fix outside under cloudy sky. As I said, we've got a fix for 6 satellites and an accuracy of 4 meters, which is pretty okay, I think. And as you can see here, the signal strength of the satellites is also pretty high, so you shouldn't encounter any issues while doing navigation with this phone. And it even works inside the house in front of a window. As you can see here, the signal count dropped to 5 and the accuracy was like 6 meters. Now I did try a little navigation with this one and it always stayed perfectly on the track, just in conditions where the reception quality or the GPS reception was limited, it would jump around a little, but that's not anything that would annoy me as long as the phone finds back to its track in a fast manner. So GPS is actually working pretty good. Now another thing that the Doogee Kissme DG580 is supporting is MediaTek's HotNod technology, which actually is a rival or competitor to NFC, but it's actually working a little bit different because it doesn't use antennas, which makes it a little cheaper for phone makers to support this in their devices. The data transfer is actually happening over Wi-Fi, at least I think so. I couldn't find any information about that. It could also be Bluetooth, but I think it's Wi-Fi with a direct connection between the phones. And the connection actually is established through the digitizer of the phone. So the digitizer, the phone that is sending one is creating a field on its digitizer through which the data necessary for the Wi-Fi connection is transferred over to the digitizer of the other phone. And this way they can establish a connection and then share data. And I will just show you this now. And we have several ways of using this technology. So first let me show sending over a phone contact to another phone. So we simply open up the contact list, choose one contact and then push the little HotNod button on here. And now it's ready for transfer. Now I simply hold the phones together. I hear a little noise and as you can see now it's asking me where to save the contact. Now another thing I can do is to transfer pictures from the picture gallery over to the other phone. So let me choose one picture. I choose this car, press the HotNod button, hold them together again. I hear the noise and let's see, it's connecting right now. And here we have the picture and as you can see it's transferred perfectly fine. And now this is actually working with the stock browser, with the calendar app and of course also with the file explorer app, so you can transfer any file you have over to the other phone. But one downside of it is that you can't choose MediaTek HotNod in other apps except the stock apps, because you can't choose it inside the share menu of Android. It simply isn't there. It does only work if the app has a specific HotNod button somewhere in the menu. But overall this feature is pretty nice and I think it's working a little nicer than NFC actually, because with NFC we often have to fumble around aligning the antennas together, and here you simply touch the phone's digitizers together and you're good to go. Now for the cameras, the Doogee Kissme DG580 features two 8 megapixel cameras, one on the front and one on the rear. But to be honest with you, and well, this was to expect considering low price, those aren't anything good. The pictures created by them have pretty good colors, but that's the only positive thing, because the pictures are pretty blurred, don't show much details, and this applies to both macro shots and of course landscape shots. And also video recordings aren't quite good in terms of video quality. They pretty much look exactly the same like pictures, and the maximum resolution for videos is 720p. And the audio quality of videos also isn't that good. It simply doesn't pick up silent noises, so it's pretty hard to capture audio with this phone during video recordings. And another thing I really dislike is the LED flash. Now it features dual LEDs, but those aren't even bright enough to be uncomfortable to look at, so they don't light up that much and aren't of use during taking pictures in the dark. So well, Doogee could have left that aside actually, and it wouldn't be annoying. So that's for the camera, and I'm not really pleased with that. The Doogee DG580 features a 2000 mAh battery, and we are used to very different run times from such phones with MT6582 processor and the 2000 mAh battery. It actually depends on how well the system is optimized towards power saving, and of course it also depends on how the quality of the battery is and if it really features 2000 milliamps or if the manufacturer is lying about that, as Chinese manufacturers often tend to do. But this one actually has a decent battery life for the price. It survives through 1 day easily, sometimes even a little more, but not much. And well, I was a little surprised by that because I did expect a worse battery life actually. So it really depends on what you are doing, which wireless technologies you are using, how you do your power saving. Now I for myself always having the screen resolution on automatic and disabling everything I don't need, really get through 1 day easily, and well, that's pretty nice, I think. Now I was a little surprised by the charging time of this battery, as this is taking a little longer than I am used to from 2000 milliamp batteries. Now this one actually takes between 2 to 2.5 hours to fully charge, and that's quite some time, and well, you should plan that into your schedule if you're using this phone. So here's my final conclusion about the Doogee Kissme DG580. Now, this phone packs a lot of specs at a very low price, just $100. Now, the gesture features, Android 4.4.2 KitKat, and the large screen and the high build quality is pretty outstanding for the low price. But still, it's not the holy grail of low-cost phones because it has a few bugs. First of all, the software bugs. And well, also the bad camera, the limited reception quality of 2G and 3G signals, and well, also the audio quality is pretty much disappointing. Yet the phone isn't bad. I hope it will be updated in terms of software, so the bugs will get fixed. But so if you want to purchase this phone, you should really compare and think about if you really need all these features or if they're just something nice to have but you don't really need. There are actually phones at a similar price level which don't feature as much outstanding stuff as this phone does, but they are bug free and are working perfectly fine in terms of reception quality and audio quality, and some even with the camera. So simply think about what you need and what you don't need, compare the devices at this price level, and then decide if you want to get this phone or some other phone. As I said, it's priced at $100, which is pretty much okay for what you get here. And well, that's so much for my review. I hope you liked it. I hope it was helpful for you. And thanks for watching. Thanks to Efox Shop for sending me over these two phones. And if you like what we are doing at GIS China, make sure to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Google+, and Twitter. Thanks for watching. Over and out.